Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Indigo's Whispers of Wisdom. And today's message is really going to be a collective message I'll be pulling through today. Um, but yeah, it's collective integration, understanding how to move through that with ease and not resistance. Because when it comes to this planetary awakening, yeah, we each have our own stones to carry with our own journey, our individual ascension. But within this process now, we're each receiving codes and a lot of, let's just say, karmic patterns and people that were in our lives have been shedding away as that's already starting to occur. And now we're starting to become magnetic, pulling in our tribe, if you will, the ones that resonate on the same frequency as we do. And within that integration process, the coming together, we merge within the what's the best word for it, the convergence. We merge within the convergence on a higher level of embodiment of ourself, right? But on on a level of a omnipresence, because the energy that's being implemented in the planet right now is of omni consciousness. So that's of unity and oneness. And when we come together and embody that energy, we start to act as a planetary family. And we kind of always act, not always, not kind of, we always act in the frequency of love, kindness, and grace to each and every individual as if they were a part of our family, which they are. Maybe not by blood, but we're all living on a planet, so we have to know how to live together as one, right? A lot of these dogmas and a lot of these separation tactics are now starting to really come to the surface and being tested to see who can advance to that next level of interplanetary civilization and consciousness embodiment, because one thought affects the whole entire collective whether we're aware of it or not. It's an energetic tie, if you will. We're all a part of the source, so we're all one with it. We're not separate from it. We each have our own individual personality that we embody, but within this time, gathering information and codes, they're going to be coming in, and we're going to be reminded from people that we meet, even within like a passing fancy in a situation, even going to the store or something. It will definitely be a random occurrence, but it will be information that resonates and starts to reactivate the dormant DNA within, and then this information can start pouring through in a more, let's just say, harmonious way. It starts to integrate a lot clearer. But once we operate off of the highest form, the highest spectrum of consciousness, which is love, right? Unifying that omnipresence within us and feeling that, starting to treat others as we would want to be treated, operating from these universal laws, right? Because this is the key within it. This is the embodiment we need to have to amplify the energy not only within ourselves but within the grids upon this time of ascension. Now we're going to be faced with a lot of challenges as we already have, but navigating through this is key, because it's not about reacting out of emotional awareness. It's about acting outside of that which is affecting you. And what I mean by that is learning to step outside and observe a situation and not be affected by it, right? Standing in your frequency and being grounded completely. That is key. And another thing too, even connecting, we can all kind of go back and see that once we do things amplified and we gather and we get together, it increases the energy. So with the energy that's being placed and reconstructed into this planet now, it's vital that we all start to embody and operate off of this highest frequency, because once we do that, we can start to live in that reality, right? That dimensional frequency band. It all starts within here, right? Within your own consciousness development. And as we're moving through these transitions, many tests are going to arise to see how far we've come within learning these structures of embodiment and learning how to navigate through what we call dark energy, learning how to stay within our light as a sovereign, free citizen and being, learning to embody who we are at a whole nother level. And once we start to step into our light, many others will start to follow. And a message that came through to me not too long ago was that if you influence one, you influence many. And what that means is you're doing more work than you know, right? So say you're talking to somebody on the street, you say, hey, I love you. Boom, that sends out a ripple effect. It sends out a ripple effect of energy that will influence the people around in that field. These things are scalar waves that are energy that move through the space you're currently in right now. These things aren't just random or things that go away. They influence the collective, so we always want to make sure that we keep it within the highest light, the highest frequency within this time as we're gathering, because we're exchanging codes, right? We're exchanging codes within this time to be able to recalibrate our DNA, right? And we'll be leaded to certain places so we can start gathering that information we need to with certain souls that we meet and information that we come across. That's vital within this part of the journey. Also, it's about learning to step back and reflect, but also come together, right, to kind of embody that presence. Not even just connecting with other humans, but also within the way we operate and talk to nature, how we feel, how we walk, how we talk. Once we start to reflect that which we want to feel, right, we start to embody that energy that's coming in through the grids, that Christ energy that starts to radiate. It starts to radiate. You start to glow. It's pretty crazy shit. You start feeling better. Excuse my language, but it really is. You start to feel lighter, and once this is done on a collective level, we're moving into a new octave. It helps to make it an easier ride, so to speak. Like that's what they don't want. Those ones who are doing all that bad shit and trying to suppress and dilute the planet from ascending, that's what they don't want. They don't want you to embody who you truly are, your consciousness that's connected to the source that all is. That's vital within your process now, is taking that and using that to your advantage, because each and every soul we come in contact with, we're all different, we're all unique, right? But once we get to a certain point, there is no polarity. There's only omnipresence. There's only consciousness, right? Androgynous. You start to see it from a point of we're all operating off of the same wavelength that needs to keep everything together, which is love, right? We can't act outside of that, because once we start to gather, even if it be for meditations, which would be key as well for a lot of things that are happening upon the planet right now, a lot of these catastrophes and volcanoes and these earthquakes and tsunamis, once we start to sit down with our collective, our group that have that same, let's just say, octave of frequency that we're in, we can gather, we can connect, and we can create a grid of energy and send it and help the planet ascend. That's why I'm saying, like, we each do it individually, but when we come together as one, we operate, we connect our energy as well as protecting our energy. We're using it to embody and inform Mother Earth that we're here. We're here and we love you. That's the key, right? We love that feminine energy. We do, because that's the birth, that's the creation, that's the womb. It's the creator, creation, divine masculine, divine feminine. energy is what brings through that change. Also within the process we're going in now, learning to respect that energy and learning to understand how it operates on a, let's just say, emotional, intelligent level, not just for females, but for males also, learning to embody this energy and not reject it, kind of bringing in that balance between the two. You can't have too much of this, too much of that, although that still will be going on. But within this stage we're in now, the collective integration, it's an embodiment within the two, learning how to see the other as an equal, a one source of information embodiment. We each have our own individual mission on this planet, right? It's not in the sense of, oh, this one's better than the other, this one can only do this. There are a multitude of energies that need to be recognized now, as it is being recognized now. The feminine is rising, and that's key too within the integration process of us coming together. It's no longer suppressed. It's literally opening and blossoming within the part of the egg, right? The egg, the creational aspect of that, because it's going to be birthing in the new planetary energy that's being, let's just say, bombarded from the sun. The energy that's coming in from that portal of solar flares that are hitting right now is all a part of it. It's uniting, because this energy that's coming in is coming off of a code, a base 12 code and higher, right? So that's the energy of unity, omnipresence, as I've said before. Once that starts coming in, we're going to have to start embodying this frequency as well. We're going to have to flow with it, be with it, feel it for what it is, right? And start to come back to the source of all that is, the nature of which we come from, right? As we are co-creators, and once we co-create, not just individually, but together for the highest embodiment and spiritual liberation of the world, of the planet, and many other planetary civilizations out there that are connected within this process we're going in, it makes a huge change, right? So within just one doing something for another is going to create a ripple effect. As I've said, love spreads far. And once we start to operate within this energy at all times and kind of ground our frequency in that, also at the same time being a little bit more open, but also knowing how to hold space and create that barrier and those boundaries that we hold, so we do protect our energy, so no negative energy can come in and affect us, to bring us down to a lower dimensional frequency than that of which we're trying to be at, embodying the highest nature, even faced with the greatest darkness, I would say, but on a collective level, because it's a collective rising. We're all doing this individually, but we're here together as a collective. We need to understand that we're all not going to understand each other's journey, but our uniqueness can be the thing that brings us together when we start creating together, when we start doing things for, let's just say, the service of others instead of service to self. It brings in this new energy and amplifies the energy that's already coming in from the sun, right? It starts to shift the tides of time, right? We're literally jumping timelines each and every moment, each and every choice, each and every decision we make, right? This integration process is vital within our own key points of conscious development, because once we learn to traverse through that and open up and bloom like a rose within that love, but also that protective boundary that we hold, holding that highest light and not allowing that to be penetrated, and getting together within a collective field to share that loving Christ energy that's being embodied and reactivated within us now, inside of the dormant DNA that's starting to reawaken. All this information starting to come back to the planet, even if you're not aware of it. It's happening in your subconscious. That's where a lot of this work is being done at within this part of the process now. It's coming to a focal point of knowing how to sit down with yourself, but also be present for others within that space you're holding. Knowing who you are, is vital. Understanding you play a bigger part than you think is key. Not only for you, but for the ones that are surrounding you, the ones you interact with on a day-to-day basis. Having that connection point, that, let's just say, that presence, right? That presence to just be and hold a frequency of kindness, listening without having a judgmental narrative to come behind it. Understanding that that energy is key within everything we do in this process of coming inside of the embodiment of love. One is many and one is all. If we all operate off of this frequency, even though we're faced with, let's just say, energetic attacks, once we learn to not allow that to penetrate our field, we come to the point of awakening to that new consciousness and breaking through, let's just say, that energetic barrier or field that was holding us into those lower energies we were associating with. But now as we start to come into this higher point within the collective, we disassociate with these energies and we start acting within a tribal nature. You know, we're not separate from each other, we are one. I am you, you are me. Your individual consciousness is key. You are unique, you are free, right? We're coming together and we're embodying who we are. And I keep on saying this because it's key, but we're also learning to work in the collective, you know, because when we do things together, we expand, it grows. It's like a garden, multitudes of seeds being planted, all operating off of the highest light. The shifts that would take place once we learn how to choose. We have the choice to act within a different frequency of that which could be in front of our face. You know, don't allow others to be able to bring you down to a lower state, right? Just because they're in a funky mood or an attitude, we can't allow that to be the thing that penetrates our field, our auric field, and bring us to a state of, oh, what's going on? Why do I feel this way? We have to be able to hold space within a group collective and be able to hold that barrier, that energetic shield around our field as well, to be able to help. That's the best way we can do it, is when we hold space, hold our frequency, and not be affected by the frequency of others, the outside frequencies. To be in a stillness point, a 0 point, right? A 0 point. And what a 0 point state is where nothing is affecting you. As I've said before, you're outside, right? You're here, but you're there as well. So instead of being what's happening to you, you start to be the observer, not the observed. So now you're learning from your experiences, but not necessarily taking them to heart, right? You're not taking it personal, because a lot of these things that are happening on the outside of our reality that people tell us to try and bring us down, even in groups, this is something that's within them they're not able to, let's just say, face. So it's going to be projected outward. Everyone is literally a mirror of yourself. So we have to mirror that which we feel and want to embody in order to inhabit that frequency band of consciousness. And this amplifies on a collective level now. And once we start to create these projects and work together, we start to help more than we know, right? We each have our highest light. We each hold a part of God within us, a seed. We are one. We come from the source that all is. Whether you forgot that or whether you know that, you choose not to embody that, that is true. It's true in every step you take, every way you turn, left or right, wherever you're going, that will always be the case. As you're going back to the source of all that is. You embody a fragment of that consciousness of the I am that I am experiencing itself within this hologram, this matrix, this physical reality we call life. All right? You're starting to see and embody who you truly are, not on just a physical level, but on a multi-dimensional scale, right? Once we all start to integrate and reawaken those dormant memories and those frequencies that are pouring in, we stop resisting it and we start to embody it by, let's just say, keeping the radio station straight as the frequency tunes. Staying in that point of a steady energetic vibration, higher octave consciousness, higher state of being. A good way to do that is to not just, let's say, meditate, but meditate to increase your frequency, to increase your oscillation rate. Increase your oscillation, lower your vibration. Once you increase your oscillation, you're able to actually hold more into your physical vessel, your field, right? You can intake more information and it integrates a lot easier that way. You're speeding up your oscillation rate, which means it's blinking on faster. You're becoming less dense and more light. So more light information will start to integrate into your field. So you can start transmitting this information out, right? It's going to be random. A quick, hey man, cool outfit today. Things that uplift the consciousness. These are the tiny shifts that are going to be happening within the collective. And this is all a part of the collective integration. So don't be surprised if someone randomly tells you and gives you a compliment, says, hey, you got a nice smile, These things are going to start to take place because the planet is expanding her heart chakra, her heart vortex as well. That's connecting with the roots, right? That root, that grounded energy. As we increase our oscillation within the meditation, we want to make sure we connect to that energy. We connect to our root and we ground within the heart space. That's key right now. The heart space is the love space, as we've talked about earlier in this video. So that's the key within it all. Yeah. It's a part of the integration process. And love is the key that opens the door to expand not only your awareness, but our awareness as we start to operate as one, once again, on a planetary scale, so we can prepare for interplanetary communication. We're all brothers and sisters sharing this planet. We come from different planets. We're different species, but we all are human now. But even then, on an energetic level, we all are part of the I am consciousness, the God source consciousness. And once we come together and embody that in the omnipresence, to be there in the moment, not outside of it, because you create as you react within each and every situation you partake in. You're shifting. You're understanding more. You're going through these experiences, these heartbreaks. But how will you transmute this energy? And as you transmute this energy, you transmute the collective energy as well. As I've said before, you do more than you think. And you hold a key piece of the puzzle as we start to reintegrate and come together with our tribe. The ones who need to be within our field of frequency to help us amplify the consciousness of the planet, to help embody that love, to help open up the heart chakra, right? To let go, protect with our shield of the highest light frequency that cannot be penetrated, and trust. Not only trust others, but trust ourselves to have that discernment, whether this is good, whether this is bad. What do you want to associate yourself with? But first embody the frequency of that which you want to inhabit, the frequency that you want to be around. You must embody yourself. That's the key, and operating in your highest Christos frequency is going to create a ripple effect, and you'll start to notice these gatherings. Be a part of these gatherings. Don't isolate, because this is a time where we're going to be having to interact with others and learn how to kind of put down those walls, but still have our shield very strong within the things we attract as we radiate this light, as we radiate this love, this, let's just say, non-penetrable frequency band of consciousness energy. Truly, that's all it's going to attract, is that which you inhabit, that which you embody in your field, as we come together on a collective conscious level. Those who operate off low frequencies will go and operate with more low frequency individuals. But those who operate off of a higher frequency will start to gather, and we will start to do work to uplift those that are around us and those that are connected with us as well. We start to see it from a higher perspective, We start to become observers, not the observed, operating in a point of stillness, but sharing our love with those who deserve it and those who share it as well. As you give, you will receive. And as you receive, it creates this electromagnetic pulse of energy that radiates from the heart. Once you give without the intent of receiving something back, you're truly at the essence of service to others, to help without expecting something in return. We're operating as one. We start to feel that. We start to be more comfortable with that frequency. It's a new frequency that's coming in, but it's a light, it's a harmonious frequency that must be integrated within each and every individual on this planet. And this helps Mother Earth come into its full, let's just say, final stages in the birthing pains and activations of this new world that we're heading into. It makes the transition a lot smoother, a lot smoother. So with that, it's going to be today's video. You guys take what resonates with your own discernment. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.